Hey everyone, today we are less than 24 hours from the announcement trail for Path of Exile 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur, and I just wanted to do a quick video, talk about my predictions and a couple of hot takes I have about what we're going to see and kind of what I'm hoping for, predictions, wish list, kind of all that wrapped up into one. So I'll try to keep this quick, and I promise not to have a bingo card. Enough bingo cards for the league, I think. So we'll just, me talking, give out a list real quick here of what I would like to see. First and foremost, I think the big like elephant in the room for the league and rework from last league was T17's. Kind of just a problem for the game right now. Didn't feel good. Biggest idea I have, and it's a little bit hot take, is that just completely remove the mapping component from T17. Let's just make it a boss fight. It's like a invitation basically. You just go straight to the boss. Really, the boss from T17 should have the biggest loot. You get your fragments for Ubers. You get the boss drop uniques. Those should really, and then you can have it drop extra loot if you want. GG, I don't care, but the fact that mapping T17s was better than doing the boss in T17s for the most part, and the most rewarding content in the game didn't rewarding as far as loot for Trade League didn't feel very good at all. So I'd be okay just make it a T17 boss fight. That'd be perfectly fine. I actually think T17 should go back to non-modifiable the way they originally intended it to be, but they need to get rid of a lot of the mod pool. There's too many binary mods, meaning they're either you can do it or you can't do it. The mod should be on a scaling list, more of makes the game more difficult, not makes the game impossible. And then I think just going along with that, T16 should be the pinnacle endgame for map blasting, putting on scarabs and going through. And then speaking of scarabs, that is the next thing I think it needs to be touched up. So the scarabs system got completely reworked in 3.24, getting rid of all of the sextants, of course, and then adding a ton of new scarabs to replace them. We are getting one more scarab map slot in 3.25, which is going to be very, very helpful. However, I think this is actually a very good opportunity for GG to go after buffs and nerfs to existing scarabs that they have added recently in 3.24. And then there's just like too many unused scarabs. A lot of the mechanics didn't transition well. I know that like you can't. They have a ton of data on these scarabs now, and they added more during the league. I think it's a good opportunity to go back, look, see what needs buffed, what needs nerfed, and just kind of figure out the scarab system a little better. Seems like adding combined sex and the scarabs didn't work out, I think, the way they had planned. I just didn't feel right to me, so I don't know if adding one scarab slot's the end all be all fix to that. Next thing I want to talk about is a totem rework. I'm calling this the totem rework, but it's going to be a melee rework. Basically, I think melee needs help just in the fact that using a bunch of your slots for totems doesn't feel very good. So take the totem power, put it into the melee skill or melee weapons to free up more gem slots for melee builds. And then we've already seen that there's going to be weapon improvements through the quality system. I think there will be some buffs to weapons as well, as far as stat-wise, just for melee weapons in particular. So I'm not a particularly good melee enjoyer, but I would like to see that section of the community at least receive some sort of love in the form of buffs. Next up, I'd like to talk about a few of the ascendancies I think need to be reworked or buffed. These are in order of what I think is most important. I think the one that's really most important to me or the community would be Gladiator. Gladiator just is in this weird spot right now where it doesn't feel like it does anything particularly good. It gets the bleed explosions and good at bleed. So that's really all it has. And then other than that, it's just not good at doing anything else. And then the more problem with that is that bleed's not particularly good. So I think I would like to see a bleed buff, which in turn should lead to a bit of a Gladiator rework. Just the Gladiator doesn't feel like it's in a good spot. Challenger charges feel good. Honestly, if you haven't played with Challenger charges in a while, it feels quite good. But the rest of this just doesn't feel right. Like the block stuff is weird with Gladiator because you want it to be like dual wield and then has block stuff as well. It's just kind of weird. Basically, if you want to play bleed, the best thing to do is play like champion and then take the forbidden flame for the bleed explosions. It's just kind of weird ascendancy. You'd like to see this just get fixed up, and then a buff to bleed would be fine too while we're at it. Good. Second ascendancy I'd like to see fixed is the Raider. I actually think the Raider is actually quite good early in the league. Just has a bunch of really good stuff like onslaught, increased onslaught effect, phasing, spell, like has a lot of spell suppression, chance to avoid elemental ailments while phasing. Since you have perma phasing, you're always like has that chance. Frenzy stacking stuff is kind of weird because feels like to me at least Trickster just does frenzy stacking better. Even Slayer does frenzy stacking better. And then the other stuff is good, but it unfortunately can be like solved by really good investment into gear. So it feels like this is just kind of like a stepping stone. Like I would never play like, I don't think there's a build I would play Raider endgame. It feels like any other build can do the stuff that Raider can, just with investment into gear. If you, it's like Raider is probably only good at going like, it can go the absolute fastest, I would guess, just because of like 100% increased onslaught, permanent onslaught. But basically everything in the Raider Ascendancy can be solved by gear, and that doesn't feel very good. I'd like to have it like a bit more of its own identity as like an elemental Pathfinder version, I guess would be a way to put it. With Pathfinder's like a chaos version, we'd like a elemental Ranger Ascendancy, I guess. Last rework for me would be the Assassin. Really, the only thing I want from the Assassin is the Node from Ruthless that would make all damage can poison. It'd be a huge buff to Assassin, kind of just as a poison archetype. It has like 2 poison nodes, but crit poison's in a really weird spot. I guess the other option would be like make crit poison more interesting or better. That'd be really tough to do. Like you'd have to like just strictly nerf or buff numbers here to make that happen. So I think what we'll mostly see, you'd see the Ruthless Ascendancy come in. That makes all damage can poison, and you'd have like cool elemental poison abilities, and that'd be a really strong leak serve. Basically, it's really difficult without Original Sin to get elemental damage to poison, and then like almost impossible to do it with like strictly as a league starter, without at least some investment into some uniques. So it'd be nice to see that Ascendancy come over to the base game. All right, next up for me is kind of a personal wish here. I'm kind of like, I like playing minion builds, and I think one of the things that minion builds don't feel good right now is the masteries. There's 2 mastery wheels, minion offense mastery and minion defense. Basically, there was teased a while ago that when there was a big mastery rework that these were going to be included, and then they would just never were, and then it's never been circled back to. I'd love to see that we go back to this and actually kind of do this again. A lot of these are just like really can't even be used, or just don't do a lot, where like it feels like a lot of the other masteries, like at least 1 or 2 are like really powerful for particular builds, and you just don't get that feeling with the minion masteries. For example, like the plus 250 accuracy, like I actually would just like to see minions have more accuracy. It's hard to get minion accuracy without earning like a precision aura or investing into this minion mastery. So if you play like a hit-based minion, kind of like have to take plus 250 in accuracy. Increased area of effect, like it's just kind of nice. You just don't really gain a lot from the minion offense masteries. In 20% increased effective offerings is okay, and then it's just all okay. Would like to see some more powerful masteries, I guess. They feel a little underwhelming and then just not very interesting. Same thing when you look at the defensive masteries. Feels like they're all just like okay, like one's like link skills cannot target damage on minions. I don't think it's ever been used. So Convocation has increased CDR. I don't like. We just put that into the gem. We reworked Convocation last league. We just put that into the gem. It feels better. Minions have plus 8 all max res. Like some of the stuff should just feel like it should just be worked into the actual gems and the actual minions themselves. But again, minion defense is like you're not really getting a lot out of here. You'll take the plus 8 all elemental resistances just to like try and survive late game if you're doing permanent minions and things like that. But other than that, there's like just not a lot to be taken here. So I'd like to see some things added or tweaked here and just kind of reworked. All right, last but not least, I think is probably going to be my biggest hot take of what I'd like to see from the new league and the patch notes is that I'd like to see a little bit of the rework to how life is allocated on the tree. Basically, if you're playing a life-based build, of course, instead of like you're not playing like a CI or energy shield build. So pretty much every early game build plays like life. I think pathing to all the life nodes and increased life nodes is just really, really strong. They seem like maybe they're like a bit too strong. 6% life, 10% life. You see that kind of all over the tree. There's life nodes, and pretty much every path of building and build you look at goes to these life nodes. We already see that, like, I think it's almost been confirmed from the teasers that life numbers will be increased on gear, defensive numbers will be increased on gear, so I think that life will be as well. So you'll get more base life from gear, and I don't think you'll need to allocate as much percentage life. The other weird thing about life is that the life mastery plus 50 to max life is like far and away the most used mastery in the game. Plus 50 life, it's just one skill point for plus 50 life. I'm like 99% confident this is going to be either removed from the game entirely or dropped down to at least 40. The new bandit quest for killing Oak is plus 40 life for 1 skill point, basically, that coming in 3.25. So it would be weird that this is plus 1 skill. This is 1 skill point per plus 50, and then there's another thing in the game that's 1 skill point for plus 40 life. Doesn't make much sense that they both would be there, and it certainly doesn't make sense that they would be different to me. So I think the life system on the tree gets reworked, and that's kind of my hot take, that we will see that. We haven't seen any nerfs in the teasers or spoilers, and I think that's kind of what we're saving up for here. There'll be like a defensive nerf overall on the tree, as well as some nerfs and reworks to how life is allocated on the tree. Other than that, these are my predictions for 3.25. Hopefully this didn't take too long. We will have build guide coming out pretty quickly after the patch notes. I don't expect my league starters to get nerfed or me to see something crazy new, but hopefully there's some new transfigured gems. That would be awesome. I'd almost certainly expect there to be new transfigured gems, so looking forward to see if there's anything there that piques my interest. Other than that, I will be deep into POB for the weekend after we get the patch notes. So make sure to click like, subscribe, check out the Twitch link down below, and catch you next time. And we'll be discussing the new Settlers of Kalguur league mechanic, hopefully. All right, see ya.